Hi everyone, I'm Rosemarie Miller and we are backstage at the Forbes 30 Under 30 Summit, and I have the pleasure of speaking with comedian Matt Rife. Is there anything else you'd like to add to that? Just a comedian?
No, that works for me.
All right.
Yeah.
Matt, I saw you a few weeks ago at Dave Chappelle's 50th birthday special.
At Madison Square Garden?
Yes, I
no
was there.
way. At the show I performed at?
Yes.
No way.
Yes, I saw you.
What? Did you enjoy the show?
It was a good show.
His and mine? Okay, good.
I'm kidding. Yes, y'all did great.
Yeah, Dave did all right. Yeah, totally.
Matt, how does it feel to share a stage with someone like Dave Chappelle?
Unbelievable. He, over the past 6 months, has become an incredible mentor and has just given me so much advice that I wish I would have gotten a year ago, honestly. But I can't think of somebody better to help me navigate the situation. He's from Ohio as well, started at the same age as I did, has had the pinnacle of success and has had to navigate so many tricky moments in his career, so many highs and lows, like the extreme highs and extreme lows, that I feel like there's nobody else's advice I would really trust on how to navigate what I'm going through right now. So he's been incredible as a mentor and as a friend, and to have the opportunity. I had never even been to Madison Square Garden. And he was like, do you want to open on one of the birthday shows? And I was like, yeah, dude. It was incredible, man. So, I've never done a stadium before.
What's the best piece of advice he's given you?
The best piece of advice, my favorite piece of advice he gave me, is he was talking about, he was impressed by the ticket sales we did for this tour. He was like, I've never heard of anything like that. And he was giving me such praise on it, but he said, remember, pigs get slaughtered. He said, don't get greedy. You don't have to say yes to everything because there's money involved. And that is something I've been going through over the past year, has been saying yes to so many shows and so many different opportunities, because for the past 11 years, there was no opportunity. So you go, yeah, give me that, so I can make sure I have all my grounds covered, right? And he goes, dude, you've made it to a certain checkpoint. From here on out, pace yourself. Do the shows when you have to. You know what I mean? If you need money for an emergency or something like that, you schedule a tour for that to back up an investment for something. Make sure there's purpose for what you're doing, rather than just give me all the money I can get while I can get it. And he's like, obviously it's appealing. I mean, he was very successful way before he was even my age. So I mean, these are all things that he's personally gone through that I go, this is great. I mean, he saved me $750,000 on a lawyer. Him alone. Oh yeah, they wanted us to go with this 5% lawyer, which would have been $750,000 for a certain deal. And he was like, nah, I've got a guy who'll do it hourly.
Wow.
Cost me a couple grand.
So do you mind telling us where you started, what your initial financial situation was like before you blew up?
Not great. I started at the Columbus Funny Bone here in Ohio, actually. I would go do the open mics there, and a lot of open mics are called bringer shows, where you have to bring 5 people. Usually tickets are $20, and if 5 people come to buy tickets and they say your name at the door, you get 5 minutes on stage. So my grandpa would come and he would pay $100, so the club would think there was 5 people there to see me, but it would really just be him. So I mean, the money wasn't great. He didn't have that money to spend, which is why I spent the rest of my career just trying to make that back to him, And money was never great. I mean, money wasn't good 14 months ago. I was down to my last couple of months rent, that I was like, okay, dude, you got to come up with some kind of game plan, or you're gonna just have to get a 9-to-5, which there's nothing wrong with, but I'm not able to fully commit and give all of my time and energy to this thing I really want to pursue and love so much and put so much energy towards. So money's never been good. We were never dirt poor or anything, but I mean, we never had money to spend, for sure.
Matt, walk us through these 14 months where you've come up. What has that been like?
Exhausting in the best way. It's it's a dream come true, but that dream is also a nightmare. It's so much opportunity that I could have ever dreamed of, and a lot of it is overwhelming, and you definitely question if you're ready for all of it. Because there's been so many moments in my life where I would get something that I thought I was ready for or really deserved 2 or 3 years prior, and when I got that opportunity, I went, whoa, thank God I got it now, because if I would have got it then, I could not have handled it.
A blessing out of its season is not a blessing.
Exactly. So all these years I've put into just doing terrible gigs and making no money, and so many bouts with depression and self-doubt, and just being like, dude, just quit. Nobody likes your comedy. It's just not going to work out. And just being like, no, dude, just a little bit longer. Just keep trying a little bit longer. All of that kind of finally paid off, and I've been able to be present in acknowledging all the things I had to do to help me navigate what I'm going through right now.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. I know that's so wordy.
Give us some details. Like, help us. This is basically imposter syndrome you're discussing.
Yeah, of course.
How have you overcome it? Have you overcome it?
I think this is going to sound so simple, but just the fact that the fan base has continued to grow, and the shows, these sold out shows at massive venues that I never could have dreamed of performing at, the fact that those shows are going so incredibly well lets me go, it gives me the reassurance that everybody, to things that other people think, that I'm like, okay, I'm not just an influencer. Good. I'm not just, a TikTok crowd work comic. Like, no, people like my material. People like my shows in person, often way more than they like it online. So, I mean, it's just finding the little chunks of validation that go, okay, no, you are where you're supposed to be at the right time that you're supposed to be there. So I've just had to be grateful that I had to go through the struggles that I did have to go through to get where I'm at right now.
It almost sounds like maybe money and fame, they appear to be changing you for the better.
Oh, absolutely. I had mentioned with this woman earlier that the best part about the success I'm having right now is that I'm not jealous and bitter anymore. Like, it takes such a toll on you. You'd see, it's everything artistic is competitive, whether it gets spoken about or not. You see a peer get an opportunity you felt like you would have been better for, or you could have done better or deserved more, and that's such a negative state of mind to be in, and you can't be fully creative and work on yourself the way you need to if you have that mindset towards other people.
Matt, first of all, let's stop here. Do you understand how powerful it is that you're even able to admit that on camera, that, I'm not jealous and bitter? So many people in this world never admit to jealousy.
No, of course I do. I had it for so long, and it sucked, and I thought I was never going to not feel that way. And it's miserable. It changes your entire personality. It changes how you treat people. It changes how you treat yourself. And now I don't have ill will or jealousy towards literally anybody who, whenever somebody talks shit about me or they put down what I've done, I go, I want to smack you, but I go, I know exactly how you feel.
Yeah.
If I was in your position, I wouldn't like me either. I totally get it. But I wish you the best of luck. I wish for you to have everything I have, because there's enough to go around. If I have roughly 23 million followers on all my platforms spread out, that's a lot of people, right? There's 8 billion people in the world. There's enough laughter and tickets to go around. Just because I'm doing a show that's sold out in Cleveland, there's literally a theater on that side. You could also sell out that side. We could do dual shows. So the competitiveness is really all ego. It's really just holding yourself to your own standards and expectations, and sometimes you have to just chill a little bit.
So what would have happened if you had never made it?
I was very close. Last July, I literally wanted to quit everything, and I was contemplating moving to Texas or back to Ohio, and I was like, I'm still young enough to start all over. I could still find a new career, find a new passion, maybe.
What would that be?
I don't know. I always wanted to do something with sports. I contemplated the military even, which I know blows a lot of people's minds. I have a lot of respect for the military. My whole family's military. And ironically enough, the main thing I don't have in my career, and still don't have it, at any level, nobody has this in entertainment, is just stability and structure. I feel like with military, I could be wrong, I hope I'm not, it feels far more structured. You wake up, you have these tasks to complete in a schedule, in an order, you listen to commands, you do this thing, right? And if you just do the things you're told to do, you had a positive day. You did your thing for the day. You did everything you're supposed to do wonderfully.
You value discipline and order.
Yeah, I love that. I think discipline and order is wildly missing in today's society. It could be a generational thing. Who knows what's to blame for it, but I love that. I think people who have that embedded in who they are far happier with themselves and are a lot more productive and successful. So if I wasn't able to do the thing I was really passionate about and loved, I could still do something that I had so much respect for, and I think would at least bring me peace in security and stability. Yeah, even if it's incredibly dangerous, at least I know it's not. I'm not going to be let down by missed opportunities as much as I could be.
Well, Matt, give us 3 pieces of advice for someone who wants to be a comedian, who's out there hustling, trying to do what you're doing.
I would say perform as much as possible. every venue, every show. I mean, I've performed at laundromats, bowling alleys, private events for 7 people in a living room. I've done so many shows, and you think these shows are the biggest waste of your time. They probably don't pay anything. You probably get one laugh out of, possibly 30-minute long show. All of that failure prepares you for what could happen to you on stage at any moment. That's why I would think, if I had to assume why I'm good at crowd work, it's because I've had to adjust in so many different circumstances in different shows throughout my life that were absolutely terrible, that I was like, this drunk dude at the bar is going to ruin this show for me right now if I don't address it and come back with something witty and funny. So now I think it just sharpened that skill, I think. So do the terrible jobs, and the negative will become your tools. So perform as much as possible, write as much as possible. It's hard. It's so hard. I'm not as disciplined as a writer as I would like to be. But I believe it was Don D.C. Curry, who's very famous, very successful, great comedian. When I was about 16 or 17, I was opening for him at the Cleveland Improv, actually. And he gave me 2 really good pieces of advice about stand-up. One about writing, one was performance-based. Writing, he said, try to write 5 new minutes a day. Even if it's terrible, even if they're not good jokes at all. Because if you get 1 minute out of the week that actually works, that's 52 new minutes for the year. If you can come up with a new hour every year, that's the goal. It should be the goal of every stand-up comedian, is to write a new hour every year. And if you write 1 minute a week, that sounds so easy. You basically have a whole new hour right there. And the other thing, performance-based, was be okay with silence. This goes for you too, audience. My audience is so rambunctious. They think if it's silent for a second, they have to whoop and woo and holler and all that. Silence is so wonderful in comedy. And I didn't know that. The same night he gave me that advice, DC Curry is a storyteller. And sometimes his stories are 10 minutes long, and there's not a single laughter for those first 9 minutes. Until the 10th minute, boom, giant punchline, uproarious laughter. And I remember being so naive, I asked him backstage, I was like, oh man, great show. Like what? I was talking about one joke in specific. I was like, is it weird that you're bombing for the first 9 minutes of your story? And he just started laughing, and he was like, it's not bombing if you have silence. Bombing is when they start booing you. Bombing is when they start talking amongst each other, because silence is the most powerful thing to have, because you have everyone's attention. They are giving you the opportunity to win them over. And you have your draw 4 coming. They just have to wait for it. So be okay with silence. Building that silence is so powerful. Learn to control that. Comedy is a bit like an orchestra. You do have to conduct people to the flow of the material you want to talk about. So just, be present, be mindful of the energy in the room, be okay with silence, write as much as possible, perform as much as possible.
Matt, you're amazing.
You're so sweet. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And thank you for doing this interview.
Literally anytime.